Hey, Shalom. All praises, honor, and glory belong to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Makakodash. Double honors unto the elders and to the apostles of Great Millstone. And salutations to the hopefully elect, alright? The men that are pushing this truth in the four corners and highways and byways. Alright, now this is brother Yakal once again coming at you with another lesson. Alright, and this lesson is going to be entitled, the scripture is supposed to be your first line of defense. All right, scriptures are your first line of defense. You know, um, and Slakia. By the way, let me just say Slakia. Um, if I sound um weird, all right, I have a cold, so my voice is a bit distorted, all right. But nonetheless, um, let's jump into the scriptures. This is Sirach chapter 6 and verse 18. It says, "My son, gather instruction from thy youth up, so shall thou find wisdom till thine old age." All right, and that's plain. The scripture talk about when you come into the truth. You must be born again. All right, and what you're born and you basically become a babe in this world. All right, and you got the instructions. All right, through the men of the Lord, which they all they teach you is the scriptures. All right, the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So and thou shalt find wisdom till thine old age, meaning as you mature in this truth, that wisdom gonna become solid. All right, verse 19 it says, "Come unto her as one that ploweth and soweth, and wait for her good fruits. For thou shalt not toil much in laboring about her, but thou shalt eat of her fruits right soon." All right, and that really show you that hey, you have to be willing to labor, and not only labor but have patience with your labor. All right, just like any plant, when you first sow the seed, you won't get you won't get to reap of the plant right away, you know. But when you plant today and you continue to water it, you put it out in the sunlight, all right, and after time, that's when you reap the fruits. And it's the same thing with wisdom, all right. When you labor and you keep at it, and guess what? That wisdom gonna be revealed unto you. The secrets, the dark sayings, the parables, the understanding of the scriptures. You see, verse 20 says, "She is very unpleasant to the unlearned. He that is without understanding will not remain with her. She will lie upon him as a mighty stone of trial. He will cast her from him here it belong. For wisdom is according to her name. She is not manifest unto many." All right, and I show you that hey, this wisdom is not for everybody. All right, but um, the scripture talk about how just a few men like Esdras were the scriptures revealed unto. All right, which is going into what the elect. All right, Isaiah chapter 6 it talk about how the Most High blinded the eyes of these people. Even Romans 16, if I'm not mistaken, it say that what the election had searched for, Slakia, what Israel had searched for, they had not found it, but the election has. All right, so only the elect is going to get this understanding. All right, um, we continue. It says, verse 23, "Give ear, my son, receive advice, and refuse not my counsel, and put thy feet in her fetters, and thy neck in her chains, in her chain. Bow down thy shoulder, and bear her." Right? It says, "Bow down thy shoulder and bear her, and be not grieved with her bonds." All right, and and you know when you first come into this truth, just speaking as a man, um, there are certain things that you you learn in the world that when you come into the truth and now learning what it really is, it can be you may see it as a burden. All right, let me give you an example. When you first came into the truth, the bigger brothers were saying, hey, you no longer um you will no longer line up your hair. You will no longer shave your beard. All right, men that was in the world, that had these fresh haircuts. Guess what? That was a burden. All right. Some men. That's why when you read back in the scripture, it say that he that is without understanding and cast her away. Because they're not willing to bow down their shoulder. They're not willing to be humble and receive that instruction of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You see, the laws, statutes, and commandments are there to guide us. All right, there's a reason to every single law and commandment. All right, take for the next example, men that was lovers of pork. When you come in and the brother say, hey, pork is unclean, you cannot eat pork. All right, you giving up certain things, it would be what like a burden. All right, and just speaking as a man, that's when you now coming into the truth. You are without understanding. All right, but once you are willing to bow down your shoulder, be humble. All right, and bear her, and not be grieved with whatever instruction it is that she's putting forth. All right, which is really the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai coming to you through the men of the Lord. Hey, when you go down on the scripture, it tell you how beneficial it gonna be. See, it says, "Come unto her with thy whole heart, and keep her ways with all thy power." All right, the scripture saying, Ecclesiastes, uh, um, Salakia. I just want to get the point, so I'm trying not to, you know, uh, bring out too many scriptures, but the Spirit, all right, would compel that certain scriptures come out. All right, I think that's Ecclesiastes, uh, um, 10 verse 8 or 8 and 10, somewhere there about. What is the scripture? Um, uh, 9 and 10. Yeah, this is Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 10. It says, "Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with all thy might, for there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest." All right, and here the scripture say in Sirach chapter 6 and verse 26, it says, "Come unto her with thy whole heart." All right, and especially when it relates to the work of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, hey, there's the number one thing to which you should put 100%. All right, it says, "And keep her ways with all thy power." Verse 27, "Search and seek, and she shall be made known unto thee. And when thou hast got hold of her, let her not go." Right? Verse 28, "For all that thou shalt, for all, slack it for at last thou shalt find her rest, for she shall be turned to thy joy." All right, now going back to the point I was making, um, uh, uh, yeah, verse in 25 and 24, it says, "And put thy feet in her fetters, and thy neck in her chain, bow down thy shoulder, and bear her, and be not grieved with her bonds." All right, now jumping down to 28, it says, "For at last thou shalt find her rest, and that shall be turned to thy joy." All right, meaning what? When you come into the truth, hey, these things you did not understand and have. All right, but now being in the truth and growing in the truth, guess what? You get understanding. You accept this as your lifestyle, your heritage. All right, and guess what? That gonna turn a joy. It literally is a joy when you really understand what this thing is about. All right, yeah, the scripture talk about in Matthew that we gonna have trouble in the flesh, but in the Lord shall we have joy. You see? And that's where our joy really is in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Alright? In the scriptures. You see? So what it is that you was making an issue with, you don't want to line up. You don't want to stop lining up. You don't want to give up pork. You don't want to, change and cut off these different things. Down the line, as you grow in the truth, you see the benefit of cutting these things off. You see, when you look at pork, the swine, the amount of sickness and disease that you could get from consuming the pork. You see, then you'd be like, to what y'all bashing me out shy for this truth? Because that could have been me. You see, it says, verse 29, it says, now this is the point. Then shall her fetters be a strong defense, meaning what? Those things that were heavy, those things that were bound. All right, fetters going into shackles on your feet. All right, shall be a strong defense, and her chains a robe of glory. Meaning what? These scriptures, these law, statutes, and commandments, at the end, it gonna become a defense for you. It gonna become glory for you. All right. So going back to the title of the lesson, the scriptures are our first line of defense. All right. The scriptures are our first line of defense. All right. Now, let me jump to Matthew 4. Then I start at 1. Select it. It says, then Yahushai led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward and hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of the Most High, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, alright, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Most High. Alright, and the reason I bring the scripture out is to show how Yahushai dealt with the tempter. Alright, because when he was hungered, imagine you fasting for so many days and so many nights. You're hungry, all right? And what the first thing the devil threw at him? Food. And how shy uh, uh, retaliate by using the scriptures. You see, the scriptures, he used the scriptures as a defense. All right, he used the scriptures as a defense, and the same thing today. In every situation that we do, in every situation that we move through, everything that we do, we gotta apply the scriptures. All right, and if we find ourselves, what's the word? Desperate. All right, desperate. What we do, we use the scriptures as our defense. You see, in whatever it is, the scriptures say that this is the law of life. All right, so everything that pertain unto this life is written in the Bible. All right, if you don't know something, guess what? Counsel with a older brother. Counsel with a brother, to and seek advice. The scripture even say in Sirach, in Salakia that I'm quoting so many scriptures, but scripture say in Sirach chapter 32 that you should do nothing without advice. You know? So what? Whatever it is that you put your hand to do, hey, the scripture is supposed to be calculating and recalculating in your head, and then the Most High gonna put it in your spirit, which is the correct scripture to apply to which situation. You know what I mean? Scripture say, Salakia, let me continue here. It says, but he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone. And that's the point that Yahushua just went to the scriptures one time and cut it. All right? No long talk, no trying to beat around the bush, none of that. Just to the scriptures, one time. That's it. And that's a principle that we ought to apply. All right? Just a principle that we ought to apply. For example, where I work, there's a lot of women. All right? And guess what? They want to make friends and be friendly and laugh with you. And if you laugh too much with them, they seize the opportunity and try to disrespect you. So what scripture do I apply through the spirit and Bob Yahweh Bashim Yahushai? The scripture in Sirach that say, hey, show not thyself cheerful to thy daughter. All right? I know that those aren't my literal daughter, but I have the understanding through the spirit of Yahweh that these women are like children, you know? And as such, you have to treat them as children. All right? Scripture say, give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to guard abroad. So what you have to be strict with these women, you know. Hey, just using the principles of the scriptures, because when you look up the word precept, I mean precept, yeah, it says a general rule intended to regulate behavior or thought, a writ or warrant, but similar, right, is principle, rule. But there's the point, principle, right? But I'll look it up in Etim online. Um, just want to make a quick point. A couple percent left. Precept, right? Now, commandment or direction given as a rule of action, especially in injunction as to moral conduct. Late 14th century from Old French precept, um, precept, Latin, maxim, rule of conduct, order, um, noun, use of notor past participle of praecipere, give rules to, order, advice, literally, take beforehand, from pray before, blah, 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 blah. Um, yeah, Salaki, right? But the point that I wanted to make was with the word principle, right? That the precepts, another word for precept is principle, and the word principle meaning a fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system or belief or behavior or a chain of reasoning. All right. So in certain scriptures, all right, you could see that is specifically talking about one thing. But when you examine the scriptures, it's a found, and you look at the principle of it, you can see how you can take that principle and apply it to different aspects of your life. For example, some of the scriptures that I quoted with giving not a wicked woman liberty to guard abroad. All right, when you go into it, it talk about how you should deal with your woman. All right, but that's a precept. That's a principle that you can apply how to deal with these women that you aren't with, the women that you may see your day-to-day life at your job, even your mother or your sister. All right, because at the end of the day, all these women have one thing in their mind: how they could how they could use you, how they could get the upper hand. All right, so what you apply that precept, um, not to give a wicked woman the liberty, not giving a wicked woman liberty, basically. All right, so now you know how to tie up certain loose ends. You don't give them the opportunity to put their foot on your neck, basically. So Lord's will that was clear as possible. All right. Now, back to Matthew chapter 4. Um, 4 says, "But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Most High. Then the devil taketh him up into the holy city, and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple, and said unto him, if thou be the Son of the Most High, cast thyself down, for it is written, He shall give his angels charge concerning thee." All right, and even the devil would put scriptures in your mind. All right, but what you gotta do, like I say, your mind is supposed to be calculating and recalculating the scriptures, and then the Most High through the Spirit, all right, will put the correct scripture that you are to apply for a specific situation. All right, so it says, and because even the devil quoted one scripture, but then Yahushua show what was the correct scripture to be applied. And in their hand shall thou bear thee up, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. 7. Yahushua said unto him, It is written, alright, meaning what? He's quoting something that was written in the Old Testament. Thou shalt not tempt Yahweh thy power. Alright, so what was the correct scripture to apply? You shouldn't tempt the Most High. Not because you know that the Most High would give his angels charge over you. That doesn't mean you're gonna walk in front of a speeding tow truck, you know, or just step off of the, or you can't swim, and you jump into the ocean and saying, "Hey, the Lord will give His angels charge over me." That's you tempting the Most High. All right, the scripture talk about being wise. All right, verse 8 it says, "Again the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and said unto him, All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Then Yahushua said unto him, Give give thee hence, Sat get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship Yahweh thy power, and him only shalt thou serve. Alright? So basically, um, the point of the lesson is that the scriptures should be your first line of defense. All right? Every attack that comes at you, you're supposed to be running to the scriptures one time to cut it. Don't try to reason it out with your mind and try to rationalize it with your mind, but rather with the scriptures. All right? So Lord's will that this lesson was edifying. All right? To the brothers out there and to the few sisters that do believe. I want to say double honors unto the elders and to the apostles of River Stone. Once again, Brakate Yahweh, Brakate Yahushai, Brakate Yahweh, Brakate Yahushai, Brakate Yahweh, Brakate Yahushai, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Makakodash, Shalom.